I'm at Jerry Lewis's house. This is 1701 Waldwood. He lived here from 1984 to 2017. There's not much to it. There's the backyard, the front yard. I can't get around back, but that's it. That's Jerry Lewis's house. Well, was. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're reconditioning it or somebody lives here or what. But there's a pool in the back. Oop, something beeped. Well, I can't really see much. That's about it. It's a good sized house. Beware of dog. I put my arm through the fence and it seems like it's got a motion detector in there. Oh, maybe it's not. I hear another beep. It's right down from UMC. UMC is right down the street here. It's not that far. And he lived here from 1984 to 2017. Just a regular common neighborhood. Wouldn't that be something like living across the street from Jerry Lewis? Or next door? Talk to him over the fence. No, that's about it. That was Jerry Lewis's house. And you can see the stratosphere is right there. That's a modest house. On a modest street. I bet he was friendly with the neighbors and stuff. 1701. What's that say? J-A-S? I don't know what that stands for. Oh. Press the ring bell. Do not press to talk. That's all gone, see? But I don't think nobody lives here anymore. Let me walk around the side here. I can't get around the side. I don't think I can get around the side, but it's all blocked off. Yeah, the fence is too high for me to even get around there. But it looks like they're tearing up the backyard too. 3-car garage. Yeah, I can't get around. It's all fenced off. Oh well. But I just had to come see Jerry Lewis. Oh, not Jerry Lewis, but his house. Jerry Lewis is dead, I believe. 2017. I'm not sure when he passed, because he was doing his marathons up to 2011. Like I said, he's got a pool in the backyard, and it's just a modest house. I like to get in, but I don't think they're doing tours or anything. Yep, that was Jerry Lewis's house. Alright, not much, but that was Jerry Lewis.
a comedy legend who brought joy and hope to so many. Here's ABC's David Wright.
Jerry Lewis could get a laugh without speaking a word. Jerry Lewis was the zany clown to Dean Martin's suave sophisticate.
If you still kiss your girl after garlic and oil, that's amore.
That's amore. Most Americans know him for the role he took later in life.
Even though you're not so wealthy, you can make somebody healthy.
Those Labor Day telethons raised more than $2 billion for muscular dystrophy. Asked how he'd like to be remembered, he told ABC,
I don't care what they write when it's over. I don't want to know about that. I'm not going to know about it.
He will be remembered as a comic legend.
By the way, we don't wear glasses at Big Tennies.
Oh, well, fine, then I'll just take these off. I didn't realize that you're not supposed to, there's nowhere really that I have to. Is there some place that I could put the...
Would you like me to put these in a locker for you?
Well, I certainly would appreciate that. You're very kind.
I'm David Wright for Nightline in New York.
And friends are mourning the loss of comedian and actor Jerry Lewis. Lewis passed away this morning at the age of 91. He was also a humanitarian, helping to raise millions of dollars for Jerry's kids, children with muscular dystrophy, and with a special connection to us here at Channel 2.
Lady!
In his heyday, there was no bigger hit than Jerry Lewis. The rubber-faced funny man was a true entertainer, the slapstick star of the stage, cinema, and TV.
Confused, unbalanced young man with only one thought in mind, self-destruction.
Lewis first found fame at 20 when he teamed up with singer Dean Martin in 1946.
And now the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis Show.
Martin and Lewis enjoyed a smashing 10-year run, making hit movies in between engagements at nightclubs, on television and radio.
You're the one for me. Hey!
Perhaps Jerry Lewis's greatest achievement was the annual telethon that bore his name.
It's the 1991.
He served as host when it first aired in 1966, and by the time he stepped down in 2010, the event raised hundreds of millions of dollars to benefit the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Channel 2's own Bill Baeza hosted the telethon here in Houston. KPRC was proud to host it for some 40-plus years.
Think about how many people in the city of Houston are watching the telethon right now.
Bill remembers him as a funny man who cared.
He's reaching behind your head, he's making funny faces and kind of getting you off balance. And so, you know, and I'm trying to ask him some serious questions about these kids, and you almost think, I'm not going to be able to use this interview. I'm laughing so much.
Using humor to make a difference.
He was a comedian who I think played the child in all of us.
He was born Joseph Levitch in 1926, but he became known to the world as Jerry Lewis, the zany but lovable fool in films such as The Bellboy and The Nutty Professor. Lewis hit it big at age 20 when he teamed up with another young entertainer, Dean Martin.
Dean was the virile macho, and I was the monkey. And I knew we had lightning in a barrel.
Martin and Lewis became one of the most popular comedy teams in history. Thousands of sold-out performances, 16 hit movies, and dozens of radio and TV appearances. On his own, Lewis signed a 7-year, $10 million contract with Paramount in 1959. At that time, it was the largest contract ever between a studio and performer. Lewis went on to act in or direct shows and movies for several decades. He later offered this advice to fellow entertainers.
Be a hit. Score. Get the audience laughing and happy. That's the secret of success in this business.
He didn't just make audiences laugh. Lewis used his fame to make a difference, taking up the fight against muscular dystrophy. For more than 4 decades, his annual Labor Day telethons helped raise more than $1 billion for research and treatment, and almost always ended with his signature song, You'll Never Walk Alone.
Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone.
Lewis struggled with his own health problems over the years, including prostate cancer, type 1 diabetes, pulmonary fibrosis, and heart disease.
It's been a long, grueling ride. I've ingested more than 24,000 pills.
But through it all, he kept his sense of humor.
You better laugh at it. because the alternative is not funny.
Wanted nothing to do with me.
When Jerry Lewis died earlier this year, it didn't take long for the news to break that all 5 of his surviving sons would be disinherited. They would not be left a penny of the estimated $50 million estate. Jerry's son Anthony spoke to our Victoria Racanio.
I knew I wasn't going to get anything, but the real sticking point, the dagger in my heart, is for the grandchildren.
Lewis's sons were from his marriage to his first wife, Patty Palmer.
It was not an Ozzie and Harriet life.
Anthony Lewis is son number 5, born in 1959. A 6th son died in 2009, reportedly from a drug overdose. Anthony says when he was growing up, you never knew which Jerry Lewis would come home at night.
When he'd show up and park right in front of the big front door, my mom would get on the intercom and would say, "Your father's home," and we scattered. We could never predict his behavior on a given day.
Anthony says he was hit with a belt on 2 occasions, but it's the emotional abuse, he says, that stayed with him.
Emotional abuse, it was every day.
The Lewis family lived like royalty in the Tony LA enclave of Bel Air.
In the highest echelon of Hollywood. I mean, the highest. My father was the top box office draw on planet Earth.
But over the decades, the family became estranged. Anthony even ended up filing a lawsuit against his father on behalf of his mother, who had been married to Jerry Lewis for 38 years.
Do I let my mother go on the street, or do I sue my father?
The result for Anthony? Disinheritance. And 3 of the 5 brothers were not invited to the funeral.
I was not, Gary was not, Ron was not. Scotty and Chris attended.
But even the brothers who got invited to the funeral were shut out of the will. Lewis left his entire estate to his second wife and their adopted daughter, Danielle. And even though Jerry Lewis didn't leave him a dime, Anthony still wishes he had one more chance to make it right.
I'm really sorry that I didn't have any one-on-one time with him to express that I love him.
The relationship with Dean ends in 1956. The partnership ends in 1956.
10 years to the day.
To the day. To the day. You were still incredibly popular on stage together. Could have continued on. But you guys don't see each other again for 20 years.
20 years.
Until the MDA telethon in 1976.
Right.
How'd that happen?
That was Frank. Frank took care of that.
Sinatra.
Yeah. He thought it was about time we stopped this nonsense. I introduced Frank, brought him on, sweet. He read a beautiful letter from one of his grandchildren. I loved that. And then I said something to Frank about, why is it that whenever we're together, I have a feeling you're doing something I don't know about? And right on the tail of that statement, he said, let me interrupt you and let me just bring out a friend of mine I brought over. We send my friend out here, and out walks Dean. And I just looked up to heaven and said, dear God, give me something to say. And I looked at him, I said, you working? So it was a good start.
Let me read this to you, because this is the ending of your book, Dean and Me.
Okay.
This is after Dean died. You said you went to Dean's funeral, and you spoke at Dean's funeral. And after he passed away, you said, I lost my partner and best friend, the man who made me the man I am today. I think of him with undying respect. That's quite something to say about a guy who you didn't really see much after 1956, but that connection, that stayed with you, clearly. You still thought of him as your best friend.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yes. He was the nicest, warmest, most genuine, honorable, integral man I'd ever know in my life.
Manager. And the other one is a check for $1,000 from the Stardust Hotel.
And another check for $1,000 from the Stardust Hotel.
The lessons that I got from my dad was like going to Brandeis University or ITT. The education that I got from my dad is inconceivable. Frank Kruchek of the London Royal Academy said to me, "Your father sounds to us like he was an apostle." I said, he was. He was just that. My father taught me about the importance of respecting your audience. Don't walk out on that stage believing they'll be there because you're there. Bullshit. They're there because they want to see you, and you better treat it with infinite dignity. And you go out on that stage for one purpose. It's to entertain that audience. Like one night I did a show at Caesar's Palace. And my mom and dad came backstage after the show. And I said, "Dad, that's the best show I will ever do in my entire career." And it was. I was on for like 2.5 hours, and everything I did was a home run. Everything. And my dad looked at me, he said, "Well, it wasn't a bad show for an amateur." I said, "What the hell are you talking about? I just did the best show of my life. You call me an amateur?" He said, "When you turned around and placed your back to the audience to get a laugh from your band, that was an amateur." And I never did it again.